Oh, hey y'all. It is your friendo, the Lady Miss Virginia Jenkins, back with another episode of Autie Eats. By way of explanation, I would like to offer up that Autie Eats is my sort of challenge to myself to keep expanding my palate. As an autistic person with some sensory issues, sometimes food can be difficult for me, particularly when I'm feeling more stressed or anxious. And when that happens, I tend to stick to a small, select circle of safe foods. And when I'm feeling a little bit more or less stressed, less anxious, I want to be more expansive in my palate and try new to me foods. And so that's what Autie Eats is about. And on this episode, we are trying quince, which is a type of fruit. I'm pretty much sticking to like fruits and vegetables to start, not like meats or new cuisines or anything like that. But yeah, just starting with fruits so that I can build my confidence. And yeah, we've tried a couple of new to me pears and bananas that I had not heard of before. And today we are trying quince, which is a fruit that looks like an apple. I'll try to put a picture in here somewhere. Picture. Boop, boop, boop. A quince. Yeah, it looks like an apple, but it's the color of a pear, like one of the green pears that I was trying in the last episode. And I bought it at the same time of the pears, thinking that it was like a pear, you know? And this is actually my second time trying to film this video because in the first video, I tried it and it was disgusting. No, I don't like that. It was very tannic, you know, that kind of bitter taste that you can get from like a tea bag, a black tea bag, or sometimes they describe wine as tannic tasting. It feels like it's slightly bitter and it's drying out your mouth, that kind of feeling. And it was very tannic. It didn't have any sweet to it. The texture was really, really hard, and I described it as like tasting like a crab apple from my youth. That was the closest point of comparison that I have. And so I thought, oh, maybe the fruit isn't ripe, or maybe I'm doing it wrong. And I hate that about me. My autistic brain is often the first thing that it jumps to is, oh, you're wrong. You're doing it wrong. Anyway, I wasn't wrong, but apparently you're supposed to cook it. It's not a fruit that you eat raw. So I looked up some recipes for quince, and I have made one today. This was a simple recipe that looked like something. It was a simple recipe that calls for cutting the quince in half, coring it to get the seeds out, baking it, sprinkling it with cinnamon and brown sugar, baking it, and then when it was done, I added a drizzle of maple syrup and sweetened condensed milk. Now, it smells really good. It smells like apple pie. My worry is I'm not a person who enjoys cooked fruit. Like, I don't like a fruit pie for the most part, except for like maybe a peach cobbler. Yeah, cooked fruit can have a not great texture. Ugh. So I'm a little worried about whether or not I will enjoy this, but I'm willing to try. And I made it, so I know exactly what's in it, so that helps. And I put things on it like the sweetened condensed milk. The recipe did not call for that. But it did say, oh, you could eat it with whipped cream. And I thought, oh, well, I actually prefer this to whipped cream, so maybe. So let's get into the tasting. The tasting, I always like to use all of my senses. And so, yes, it smells exactly like apple pie, which I have to be in a mood to eat. McDonald's fried apple pies when I was a kid. Otherwise, oh God, again, that cooked fruit thing. But yeah, it smells very tart. I feel like I smell the cinnamon, of course. An apple underlayer. Yeah. In terms of the ways that it looks as appetizing as cooked fruit can look. Yeah. What does it sound like? It sounds like a mistake in the making. I'm so concerned. This is one that's giving me concern and anxiety a little bit, so I should probably get to it sooner rather than later. We talked about how it smells. We talked about how it looks. Let's cut into it and experience the texture. Well, I'll tell you, the raw texture is very, very dense. It's like how you cut into an apple, but even more dense than that. But you know, one of the things that I dislike about apple pie is how mushy everything gets, and this is not mushy because it's got a denser texture in its raw state. So maybe I'm gonna have one little bite. It looks okay. Okay, you just gotta do it. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it tastes like I thought it would. It's like an apple pie, but with a denser texture, so it's not mushy, or as mushy as an apple pie would be, or a baked apple rather. That apple flavor is sitting right on top. All the other flavors that I added, the maple is adding a sweetness because otherwise it would be too tart. The sweetened condensed milk is cutting through the acidity. This is my second bite. There's a slightly pear-like texture somewhere in there too. But there's also something that feels a little slimy, as if there are natural striations in the fruit somehow, and my tongue is engaging with them, but I can't see them. I'm not gonna keep eating this. It's okay. I just don't like cooked fruit. Yeah, if you like apple pie, and you've got those sort of simple ingredients on hand, at least just cinnamon, brown sugar, and maple syrup, you might like this. If you are a person who likes poached pears, you might like this. Basically, if you enjoy cooked fruit, I feel like you would like this. I do not. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm gonna give this one a 3.4 out of 10. Yeah. So that's it. That's my Quince experiment. 3.4 out of 10. Oh, let me cut it on camera. You can see how dense it is. Can you see that? No. Whatever. It's much more meaty than a baked apple would be. And it's not because it's undercooked. It doesn't have an undercooked feeling. The flesh is just much more tangible. Also, this is the striation that I'm talking about. Can you see that? What? Why? Okay. Yeah. 3.4 out of 10. Thank you, Quince, for allowing us to experiment with you. Yeah, that's the thing that happened. Okay. Thank you for watching another episode of Autie Eats. Stay tuned. Who knows what we will try next. All right. Bye.